Well, I certainly didn't think I'd be making an episode about this out of all the things. But, I, geez, I don't know how to start this off. But, this all started off as like a joke, a meme that my friends and I did. And it just grew on me so much to the point where I wanted to start it. It grew on me so much to the point where I started watching it out of pure curiosity. That being Inspector Gadget. I'm not even joking. I've I don't know what to say, honestly. I mean, I do, but like it's just kind of hard. But basically, yeah, that's how it started off. It went from being a funny meme, haha, funny Inspector Gadget jokes, to I'm kind of curious. Let's see what the show is actually like. And so I start watching it. I'm like, the animation, just the animation, the intro music. The intro itself is just glorious. I was just completely shocked by it. I didn't think the show was as good as it was. But that explains why we ended up with, more things in the Inspector Gadget continuity, I suppose. We ended up with, spin-offs like Gadget Boy and other... I think the Inspector Gadget movie and then the sequel to that. I don't know. I just started watching the original and just got completely hooked. I find the series just to be complete fun. I don't know what it is about Inspector Gadget that I get from any other series or from any other show that just gets me hooked into it. Like, I'm trying to think of the words to describe it other than it just being amazing. It's very conflicting, and the reason why I say conflicting is because in the intro, you're gonna laugh at this, Inspector Gadget is actually portrayed as this, like in the intro, Gadget's actually, competent, right? But then when you actually watch the show yourself, Gadget's completely different. Gadget is clumsy, he's unaware of his surroundings, and he's just... what's the word? He's clumsy, unaware of his surroundings, and, and gullible. Oh, and blind, too. And he's also, what's the word? A simp, so to speak. Kind of a simp. And what I mean by simp is like, simp is, oh god, I don't know how to like describe this. Simp is the kind of person that goes after like girls. I mean, that's normal, but like, I don't know how to describe it. In fact, I'll just look it up to refresh my memory on what it actually means. Ah, there we go. A man who foolishly overvalues and defers to a woman, putting her on a pedestal. Basically, that's Gadget. I saw one of the episodes, I'm like, Gadget's a simp? I never would have thought of that. I never would have, seen Gadget as that kind of person. But yet, here we are. He's exactly that. In some cases. Not all the time, but whenever he finds... I think there was this one episode that I saw, and he just acted that way. I'm like, is this normal for Gadget? I was just surprised. I didn't think that Gadget would be the kind of person to go after, a female like that. It's just so dumb. But yeah, I got hooked into it. Oh, and another thing about Gadget is that he's stupid, And you're probably wondering, if he's so dumb, then how does he get himself out of these messes? How is he able to... How is this so well received? How did Gadget get more episodes? How is Gadget not dead? If he's so, stupid, right? Well, from what I've seen, there are these two other characters, Penny and Brain. Penny being Gadget's niece and Brain being Gadget's dog. And, by the way, at first I didn't even know Penny and Gadget were even related. But, yeah, apparently Gadget is Penny's uncle, so, Penny and Brain are usually the two that tend to get Gadget out of his messes. And they're usually sitting in the background, the sidelines, trying to figure out, oh no, Gadget's gonna get himself into more trouble again. Let's see what we gotta do to save him. It's a really interesting and funny dynamic between the three characters. But yeah, Penny tells Brain to keep an eye on him, and she's usually looking at her computer book. Yeah, it's literally a computer book. I didn't know what the computer book was at first, but then I saw, oh, it's a literal book that's a computer. No, what I mean by that is, like, it's a computer, but it takes the shape of a book. I'm not even joking. For as weird as that sounds. But yeah, Penny's usually on her computer book checking to see if there's anything she should look out for on her computer book. And sure enough, she finds a bunch of things to look out for. And so, yeah, both her and Brain are the two that get him out of, her and Brain are the two that usually get Gadget out of trouble. It's funny. Just to see Gadget as this bumbling buffoon, but he's a lovable bumbling buffoon. It's just, I don't know. Just, wow. But yeah, there's so much to Inspector Gadget that I really like. And ironically enough, I didn't watch, the first Inspector Gadget thing that I watched wasn't the first episode of the original show. It was actually the Christmas special. I'm like, well, I meme about this a lot. Why don't I just take a look at it for once and see what it's actually like? So I watched it, and I'm like, wow, this is actually really good. And I got the impression that Gadget was dumb or unaware of things after the Christmas special. I didn't think he was that dumb until I saw the first episode. I'm like, okay, yeah, this is the first episode. This establishes his personality, so he's definitely like this. He definitely has to be like this for the rest of the series if he's still like this during the Christmas special, because I know, I remembered that the Christmas special came out in, like, 92, and then the original series started airing in, like, I don't know, 1985, somewhere around there, 85, 86, 87, and I'm like, wow, okay. So yeah, Gadget's always been like that. Alright. So yeah, I don't know. It's odd. But yeah, the Christmas special I really liked. The thing about the Christmas special is that, like, the funniest thing about it is that Dr. Claw, the main antagonist of Inspector Gadget, he disguises himself as Santa Claus, and Inspector Gadget's like, "Oh, hey, Santa!" He's just like, he doesn't realize that it's, he doesn't realize that it's actually Dr. Claw. What's even dumber is the fact that, he's got his cat, what she calls Mad Cat, right next to him, and Gadget, mistakens the cat for a reindeer, because of the little antlers, but even then you could still tell it was a cat. And Gadget was like, "Oh, this cat can mimic the behavior of this reindeer can mimic the behavior of a cat." It was really, really hilarious, just, like, how he didn't realize it. I'm like, Gadget, what are you doing? Like, that's not a reindeer. How many reindeers do you see clawing you in the face. And it's just, alright, and then I was just like, alright, whatever, let's go with it. So, I found that really funny. And I already mentioned this before. I want to say this again one more time. The animation, I didn't expect Gadget to be so well animated, and it's consistent throughout the entire series too. In terms of animation, it's actually that good throughout the entirety of the series. Like, the intro stays consistent with the actual show, and the show actually stays consistent with the actual show. It stays consistent with the intro. It's really cool. There aren't very many shows that stay consistent entirely, whether it's, you know, the intro or the actual show itself, in terms of animation. So to see Inspector Gadget do this is just a real... It's a nice breath of fresh air, you know. I found that really took me by surprise, knowing that Inspector Gadget did that. But yeah, I also found out that it was animated by TMS. Like, they got help from TMS, and TMS, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is really well known for animating stuff. It's a Japanese studio. When I looked at it, I was just like, this has to be animated by a Japanese studio, and TMS, I believe, is Japanese. And so they helped out, and I could not get over it. I just found that to be the most cool thing. But yeah, out of all the episodes, though, for Inspector Gadget, my favorite, personally, is the one where this character that goes by the name of Presto Chango disguises himself as Inspector Gadget. And, they're all out trying to find Presto Chango. And obviously, Penny, she's worried that Inspector Gadget's gonna get himself into trouble, or just, actually, I'm just gonna call him Gadget. Penny's worried that Gadget's gonna get himself into trouble, or get hurt, or whatever. And so, she, as usual, tells Brain to keep an eye on Gadget. You know, typical Inspector Gadget plot. But then, you see Presto Chango, and we're introduced to him, and he turns into... We're introduced to him by turning, into Inspector Gadget. And I remember that he was all like, "Oh, Inspector Gadget's alive! Dr. Claw, Inspector Gadget's alive!" And Dr. Claw's all like, "He shouldn't be alive," or something. Dr. Claw's voice... Oh, I can't even do Dr. Claw's voice. It's extremely gravelly. But, yeah, Presto Chango's all like, "Oh my god, he's alive! I can't believe it! What are you... How?" So, yeah, he keeps himself out of sight. Inspector Gadget puts on his disguise. I think he goes inside. And then, Presto Chango also goes inside. And finds a place to hide, and gets him, get a place to cool down, and hide, hide, and then Inspector Gadget finds him, and he's like, "Oh, hello, Chief," and then Chief Quimby, he disguises himself as Chief Quimby, and he actually has Gadget in for a loop, because that's not actually the Chief. And that's Presto Chango. And then they talk for a little bit. And then I'm trying to remember. Gadget says something like, "How'd you know it was me, Chief?" And then Chief Quimby's like, or not Chief Quimby, Presto Chango as Chief Quimby's like, "I'm Chief Quimby. I know this stuff." And Gadget's like, "Okay." So Gadget walks off to find, Presto Chango. Well, he does that. Presto Chango changes back into, or he changes back into Gadget. So now you have two Gadgets running around. And then later on, we see Penny, and she's trying to figure out what one of Presto Changeo's disguises are. Penny walks out of the room and comes across, you guessed it, Presto Changeo. Now, you're probably wondering, now, since I said Presto Changeo looks like Gadget, you're probably wondering, how do you know it's Presto Changeo? To them, in the show, it's not obvious, but when you see the show, you can tell that, Presto Changeo still has that really wide smug and really, really, mischievous, he's got that little mischievous look on his face, so you can easily tell it's him. That's how I know for a fact that it's Presto. But Penny runs into Gadget, and she's all surprised about the fact that Gadget didn't tell her to go home, or Presto Changeo in this case. But she's surprised that Presto Changeo didn't tell her to go home as Gadget. And Presto's all like, you're doing a good job, Penny. Keep up the good work. So Penny's all surprised, but also just surprised by this. I think she either goes back into the room, or she came from, or something. And then there was this meeting that Gadget was supposed to go to, and then Penny hears the announcement on the speaker, and they say that it was originally scheduled for 1:00, but now it's scheduled for 1:30. So they're like spending 30 minutes trying to figure out who Presto Changeo's disguised as. And so Penny's like, "Oh my gosh, it's 1:30, or it's 1:00. I don't have much time to find Presto Changeo or something." And then she goes back into the room or something. Either that, or she keeps. She has this little stethoscope, I think it is, and she puts the thing up to the doors, to like, make sure, nothing. Like anything she hears isn't suspicious. So she puts like one of them. And then I see the scene where she puts their stethoscope on one of the doors, and then this officer or cop comes out of nowhere, and he's all like, what are you doing? What's going on?" And then Penny's like, "I want you to arrest the man that's in this that's behind this door in this room." And he's like, And then you guessed it, it's none other than Presto Changeo that comes out of the room. And then the officer tells Gadget, or Presto Changeo, this little girl wants you arrested. And then Presto Changeo, as Gadget, says something like, this happens to be the nefarious Presto Changeo. And then Penny's like, no, it's not, I'm not Presto Changeo. Then she gets cuffed. They take her into like a jail / prison cell. It's a jail cell, I think. They have her locked in there. And then she goes on her little wristwatch thing, and then she warns Brain that Presto Changeo / Inspector Gadget, Presto Changeo disguised Inspector Gadget is in the little he's in the meeting room, and so Brain tries to distract Gadget and lead him into the room, and then the two Gadgets meet each other, and they're all like, "Oh, you're who are you? You're not the real Gadget." And then, there's just conflict, and they're all like, "Oh, who's who?" And then, yeah, Presto Changeo gets arrested, and that's pretty much it. That's my favorite episode. But, yeah, I think that's all I have to say regarding Inspector Gadget. If you liked this episode, stay tuned for more, because I have more episodes of the Saloon Podcast planned. See ya!